sell like Cinderella teens. You should see the things I feel
inside arm the channels.
I can't associate with y'all this shit like ketamine. Been on one, been on two, been on everything.
Can you hear me now? Hi. Dakota.
Pickle, pepper. We need to write those on the wall. Pickle, pepper.
Peter Piper.
Picked a pack of pickled peppers. Yeah, what are
That
you
sounds-
saying?
I don't know. I'm saying words that start with P. I'm trying to say it really fast so it sounds like I know what I'm doing.
Sibilance.
Voice warm-ups before we go.
Me. I wish I knew how to do that so I sounded legit.
We can look it up.
Oh, we got Tahlee here. We've been trying to get Tahlee on
Yay.
for a minute.
Yeah.
We finally got her. She's in from LA. She arrived last night.
A little
Woke
tired.
up early for us.
Yeah.
But she's here.
Tahlee, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Tahlee Scarpettie, Tahlee Booer Scarpitti, however you want to call me. I've been in this industry for
Say it.
since 1988.
Hey!
87, 88, something like that. I started as a production assistant
That is awesome.
at BYU. And then,
Wow.
yeah, because I was going to BYU, and then I just...
Did they have a film program?
They
back
did. They did. It was rather hands-on when I first got there, and then they just turned theory, and then it kind of went crap. So yeah, that's when I started, and then I would work on films during the summer, like when I wasn't in school. And yeah, I've been working ever since, and went to BYU, left when I was a senior, and
Never look back.
never looked. No, I didn't. I didn't. Nobody's ever asked me about my schooling, quite honestly.
Really?
Yeah, they want to know what I've done, but they haven't cared what I do for school, what I
Yeah.
did for school.
We don't care if you went to school and make a movie.
Yeah, no. And in fact, I'd rather, if I'm hiring someone, I'm going to look at your set experience over what your
100%
education.
eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good, if it's in a hands-on place and you meet people and you learn a few basics, that's fine, but you don't need a 4-year college
No, you don't.
degree in filmmaking.
don't.
This is surreal. And talking about like getting started, this is surreal for me sitting next to both of you guys because these two people right here have had such like a huge in my career. I don't know what the word I'm looking for
Input?
is. Yeah, huge input, a huge just like piece of why I'm at where I'm at. I think Tahlee was the first AC that I ever met on a set, and she looked at me and she was like, "What the hell are you doing here?"
Did I say that?
I'm pretty sure.
I might have. I don't know.
I'm like running around.
I've been told I can
chicken
be a
with the
little intimidating when people first meet me.
You and Curtis together.
Oh yeah, Curtis. That's right.
Curtis
Ooh,
was
It was
there,
that bad
and-
Facebook job.
It was that Facebook show or something.
Yeah,
I
it was
showed up
bad.
and Cope got me on, and I met Cope through Brent and like this group, and Tahlee and Curtis Burr were there, who I've privileged to work on future movies with. But yeah, Tahlee just looks at me and is like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And I was like, "I want to be in film. I want to hold a camera. I want to direct." And she's like, "Do you even know how to AC? Do you even know what an AC is?" And I was like, "Nope, but I'm here." And she's like, "Hey, follow that guy," which was Curtis Burr. She's like, "Just follow him around today." And I don't even know how I got on set. I was essentially like
We needed someone. I recall it was really low budget. We needed someone, and no one wanted to do it because it was nights. It was an awful show. The DP was kind as a person, but not as a DP, and so it was like it was a rough show, and we couldn't, and it was hard to find people. And
Here came
and Cope
Scooter.
was like, "Okay, I got this friend." We're like, "Okay, great, bring him on."
I remember pulling up to set that day, first time ever on a set. Besides High School Musical, but it was like I actually had a job that day.
So this is like your first paid gig, not
Yeah.
not
Paid
just
gig.
visiting set.
Yeah.
And I didn't
Yeah.
know where to go, and I was so scared and so lost, and I'm just running around set, and I'm like, I'm supposed to be finding someone named Tahlee, and like Chris just said, find Tahlee and go work with them today. And no, I found you guys, and luckily you two, you sat me down, and like you're like, hey, if you want to be an AC, here's what you need. And I remember like I grabbed a pen and paper. I didn't even have a pen and paper. Curtis handed me a little.
We think we sit with a notepad and a pen because
Hooked 'em up.
every AC needs one.
Yeah, I didn't come with anything.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad they didn't
I
just tell
thought
me to
you
go
had like a
home.
Leatherman or something.
Hey.
You had something. You did have something, and we're like, okay, well, this is what else you're gonna need. So go to the Expendables and get what you need.
So,
That's awesome.
so they tell me like this whole list, and I have no clue what any of this stuff is, and I'm just writing like scissors, tape, markers, chalk. And I don't know if you remember, but I went to Harbor Freight right after set that day, and I bought everything I needed. I went to Walmart, I just went to all these stores, and I built like this little kit, and I showed up the next day, and I was like, I'm ready. And half of everything I bought wasn't anything I needed. And like Curtis looked through, he's like, you don't need that. You don't need that. You don't need that.
Curtis is great about like, okay, this is exactly what you're gonna need.
Yep. And
Streamline it.
I couldn't be more grateful though where I got in and to be learning from you and Curtis, and like I would say the two most OG talented people in that world, to be teaching me and like bringing me in. Like I'm very fortunate because I see a lot of ACs coming in that are learning from newer ACs, and some of those OG techniques and things are kind of being lost. And to have you guys like really put me in my place and to kind of like not take it easy on me, and you too, Charles, like it was like, this is how you're gonna learn. Like I'm very grateful for that, and you have a huge part of my career, and for that, I have a huge part of my heart forever. So.
Thank you.
This is Tahlee, everyone. Yeah. I just wanted her on this podcast so I could say that. That's about it.
You can go now.
Well, I trained Curtis as well.
Did you really?
I trained Curtis, yep.
It's so
one
cool.
of the
didn't
many
know
people
that.
who helped to train Curtis. I mean, no one gets trained by one person.
No.
But if you don't have an opportunity to learn from Tahlee or Curtis, I'm sorry.
And Curtis, like I said, second AC stuff, the man is the master. Yeah.
Arguably the most dialed second AC.
Yeah.
Like he's good.
He is.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
Yeah. So Tahlee, tell us about yourself. Where are you from?
I am from Kentucky originally.
Okay.
And then always wanted to make movies since about 12.
Cool.
And
So how did you end up at BYU?
that's the furthest away from home
Wait.
I could get.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Before BYU.
Yeah.
As a child, was there ever a point where, like, what was that pivotal point where you're like, I want to do that?
At 12 years old, so 12 years old, 7th grade, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of my friends in my class was pregnant
Whoa.
at 12.
Wow.
Whoa.
And I was like, what? By her 16-year-old boyfriend. And I remember thinking how all my friends, how much they talked about movies they were watching and television, how influenced they were by that, and how that if I could have any kind of part of that influence to influence these young women not to get pregnant, especially at that age, and to actually have a life and make better decisions, then wouldn't that be a good thing? So literally that was a turning point.
Wow.
That was the point for me where I was like, all these girls, because I think there were at least 5 girls in my graduating class, a class of 200, less than 200, 188 is in my graduating class. I think at least 5 of them were pregnant on graduation day.
Holy cow.
And some
Well,
of them
you have to
not
think,
with
too,
their second child.
Oh, wow.
And this is a time where social media and stuff isn't
Nope.
isn't so
No,
accessible
so
to where
so television and
educational that kind
movies.
of stuff wasn't around for people to learn that kind of stuff.
Right. So television and movies were highly, that's where you were getting all your information, if
And
you
what
will.
you're looking up
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
and,
what-
like,
yeah.
superhero, like that
Yeah.
era was like, that's what I want to be.
Right.
Yeah, so that for me was that's like, I want to make movies. And at first, for a very short moment, I thought I wanted to act, and I was like, nope.
So you
much
saw
better
what movies
behind
could
the
do for people and like the influence they had on society, and like
Sure.
that's honestly what everyone wants to give back to the world and like do something, have why is my brain fried? What's the word I'm looking for? Have like contribute to society and their contribution, right? And films for me are your contribution to society. You're giving people an entertainment, you're bringing them life, laughter, you can get them through things with TV shows,
A release from
and
things.
so that's like my give back to society. And it's cool to see that you saw that at such a young age. You're like, I want to influence people with like this.
It's like,
Can we dive down this rabbit hole for a sec?
Yeah,
Because
for
I think it's super interesting. Because I feel like when we were younger, like movies and things had a massive, more impactful experience on people than I feel like it is now, where we have so much content
Right.
that we're creating. And so like
I think we just talked about this yesterday.
We were talking about this because we were talking about the consumption of stuff and how, I guess when we were kids was kind of like the last of it before social media and cell phones were like, everyone had it.
Right.
Which was same thing the only way we knew what was coming out for movies. I remember when not iRobot, Terminator, one of the new Terminators was coming out and everyone was talking about it. And
it would have been the Christian Bale Terminator,
and I was in this youth camp, like youth summer camp that my parents put me in, and everyone at the youth camp was like, "Are you seeing Terminator? Are you seeing Terminator?" And like 100 kids were all talking about this movie coming out. Nowadays,
you don't get that anymore.
No one cares.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much. No one's like, "Are you gonna see this?" It's kind of like.
I went to the Star Wars premiere. I don't remember what one it was when I was in 7th or 8th grade, and I remember there was people all
sleeping outside.
There were people with lightsabers and full costumes having lightsaber battles down at the beginning where the screen was. Like people cheered when this thing started.
Harry Potter premieres. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
The dentist would rent out the movie theaters and like give away tickets and like there were these
you have a cool dentist.
And it was a big deal.
My dentist would dress up as Gandalf and like come out. It was so cool as a kid, right? Because then your dentist becomes someone you want to go see. But no, it's just cool, just like the hype behind a project.
Yeah.
But you're right. We figured it was right now we're in the stage of too much of anything is bad for you.
Yeah.
And we're getting flooded with so much that I can't keep up with it. He tells me to watch a show. And by the time I watch that show, he's telling me to watch a show on like a whole nother streaming platform while I'm behind on the show I was supposed to watch.
This
yeah. I know, there's a lot.
There's some massive amount of content. There's so much content. It's like, so now everyone's a filmmaker, right? Because everyone who's got like their iPhone is a filmmaker. And then, but that doesn't mean you actually are a film. Just because you have the tools doesn't make you a filmmaker.
Right. So has that changed your passion for filmmaking, knowing that like, the films that you work on or make aren't necessarily as impactful as they used to be when we.
Ooh, good question.
Yes and no. It's all storytelling.
Yeah.
We've been telling stories as mankind since the dawn of time, right? Mm-hmm. We all want to tell a good story. So basically, good storytelling is good storytelling. It's whether or not your story is going to be heard with this massive amount of content, which is also what we're seeing with all these streaming channels that wanted all this content while everyone was at home watching
COVID
and streaming,
and
streaming at home, but now they're not. So now you're seeing the convergence of all these streaming channels. So we're doing that, or we needed all this content because we have 10 million streaming platforms, and now we're shrinking back down. The same thing happened when cable came out. There were like thousands of cable channels, and everyone was signing up for this channel, that channel. And then slowly they all just got reabsorbed because, again, it was so much content. People were getting overwhelmed, and you couldn't.
Makes sense.
That's interesting.
It's
absorb it.
History's repeating itself.
Yeah,
where we're going right now, I feel like it's in a way kind of like with all the ads and commercials. Now all your streaming platforms are just as corrupted as like your normal TV.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're not getting away from that. And then as much consumer stuff there is, the streaming companies can't keep up with making it for all these platforms. So now we're almost seeing like a dive in all the stuff that's going to get created
and in quality,
and then it's gonna be a weird thing. I think there's gonna be a huge like dip in the industry coming up.
It's already
happening.
It's
here.
It's here.
We're
There's
in
a big. We're in it. Yeah.
Like, let's talk about that though a little bit. Like, where do we see in the film industry like? We call it the streaming boom, right? Where all these streaming platforms came up, everyone was competing with each other. All these budgets were enormous because everyone's signing up for every platform. They're throwing 200 million here, 100 million here, and like they're creating all this stuff. All that's kind of done. Where do you see our industry kind of falling into over the next 2-3 years?
I see a lot more experimentation as far as what's going to stick to the throwing spaghetti against the wall to see what's going to stick is part of it.
Do you think like because we had reality TV boom and all like
and that's still around.
Kinda,
I mean, it's still it's still a profitable industry. They're still doing
TV that much cheaper to make than a movie.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Exponentially.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe we'll see more of that because it's cheaper.
But then you also have audiences who are also tired of it and who want to see scripted content. You want to be told a good story.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of us still want that escape. It has been an overwhelming time. I mean, we considered like COVID, and you considered like for our industry the strikes and economic, they keep saying that we're done with this recession, but we're not seeing that. And there are wars, and there's there's a lot of conflict in the world, and people need a release. People need the ability to cope, and storytelling is one of the ways we do that.
I think that's why reality is kind of fading right now in my eyes. Like I don't see it as much. Like it's not presented to me anymore. Like I used to get like ads. Here's The Bachelor. Here's another reality show. Here's Jersey Shore. Here's all these things. I don't see it anymore because I think people are now, like you said, we are at a point in the world where there's enough going on that's stressful enough, and there's enough bullshit happening. We don't need to watch two people argue about something on TV.
To that point, I feel like early 2010, right, Jersey Shore era, we weren't so consumed by all the BS in the world, and social media wasn't as prevalent. So to see Jersey Shore and see these people arguing on a beach, and it's like, oh, it's fun to watch. It's just you're consuming kind of this BS, right? That's kind of gone. Yeah, people don't want to add that into the pot.
There's so much BS already. The last thing I want to watch is your BS. Like I don't care about yours.
But the other thing is reality TV is not real. And it is.
Thank you.
It's often scripted.
We say this all the time. All the time.
I said this with Chris. You're backing me up though, Tahlee.
Yeah.
Is The Bachelor scripted?
Parts of it, yes. So they pay writers on reality shows. The WGA,
100%.
that was one of the things they fought for, was the WGA fought for getting residuals for the writers, because they do write.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We say it all the time.
I gotta have Tahlee on more.
And it is manipulated, obviously.
100%.
And it's like how many times have I been on something like that where they're like, could you go back and do that again a bit? Can you just, change this word to that word? Or you'll have one of the producers or one of the ADs go to one of the other reality stars and like, did you hear what she just said about you? And
stir the
pot.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
so
Totally.
I love it.
I've never been a fan of reality TV. To me, it's like, because I want to sit down in front of the TV to like forget about all the crap that I've
Yeah.
done.
Okay, but you remind me of a dude who would love like Survivor or like what's that Alaska show? I actually like it. Alone.
Yeah, and I actually do like old Survivor, not new
new
Survivor.
stuff.
Yeah,
New Survivor's like it's the same thing. It's like garbage now.
You've seen it 1,000 times.
Yeah,
Old Survivor was legit, dude. Like those
Alone is legit.
Alone is legit
I
too,
like that.
and I actually like those. But like, those are maybe the only ones. And even now, like, because I don't really like Jillian still watches Survivor, and I'm like, I'll sit there with the family, but like, it's not my jam.
Right.
Really.
Coach
Like,
trying to get on Survivor.
I know he is.
He like got every season and character memorized.
Oh,
and
that's
like I
hilarious.
love
Yeah.
it. Shout out Coach.
But I like to like watch a show that like takes me to another world, or like, I forget about this. It's an escape.
As
right?
I get older, I like more comedies.
Okay.
I like a lot more comedies now. And
I like to laugh.
I know
Yeah.
this sounds super dad of me, and don't judge me, but like my dad would always watch like the cooking channel or the hunting channel. And I'm like, that's so boring. Like, there's
No
entertainment.
way, bro. That's the shit,
And
dog.
then now I've got Mer will come out and I'll like have a cooking show on or something. She's like, "Are you watching someone cook a steak?" And I'm like, "But yeah, he's cooking at 300 degrees and then broiling." And like,
He put the garlic in before the onion.
yeah.
That's why ours tasted bad
like,
last
oh,
night.
No,
God.
sous vide and then just sear it.
Yes. No,
my cooking
that's awesome.
is getting better.
The Gordon Ramsay shows are amazing, and he has so many you can't run out of those. It's
So
never
my hopes
boring.
are that we get more of those types of shows where like it's more informational based.
I'd like to learn some more. Yeah, learn. I think people are in a stage where they'd like to learn more nowadays.
But that's what YouTube's for, right? You go
Exactly.
into
Yes.
instructional
That's what
video.
Charles
I love
said.
YouTube
That's
for
what I
that.
said. Yeah.
Charles said he thinks it's gonna go because my prediction was that some of these streaming platforms are gonna, the bigger ones are gonna, instead of throwing $200 million at multiple projects for the year, they're gonna start consuming other platforms and buying up all these other
Smaller
platforms.
projects, yeah.
And
Which
then we'll
It's
see.
already happening.
It's already
Net-
happening. Yeah,
I just
it is
read
already
an article
happening.
this
Yeah.
morning on CNN. Netflix is like they're acquiring other
Yep.
platforms
Absolutely.
stuff.
Which makes sense.
Old
Why
stuff.
spend
As is
$1 billion?
Paramount.
Yeah,
as
everybody is.
So the
Yeah.
bigger ones are absorbing the smaller ones,
Yeah.
which is
It's
awesome.
already happening.
Yeah.
Which, instead of them making movies over the next 2-3 years and putting those budgets into projects, they're putting those budgets into buying these other platforms where we're going to see, again, that dip kind of go down. And Charles was saying he sees it more going towards like YouTube-based content, because eventually if these platforms are consuming other platforms, you're going to get, call it like Hulu Live and other things that they offer now on one platform, so they're going to charge more.
Sure.
And so, are people going to pay $50 to $100 for a streaming service like Comcast or Xfinity, or
which is like having cable? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
or are they going to go more
YouTube?
Yeah. And so it'll be interesting, but I hope it goes more YouTube because maybe more people will consume this podcast.
I think you're going to have both camps. You're going to have people who just like, I can't think about it. I just want one big package, and other people want a la carte. Because right now I have like 4 or 5 different streaming channels, and I'm like culling right now because I'm like, I don't watch anything on Apple right now, and
they're like 17 or $20 a month now, and it's like adds up.
There's $120 all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's 100%. Like so same thing. So like, are you doing it a la carte, or are you getting the whole entree with all the sides?
Yeah.
And the worst is when multiple people under one house are subscribed to the same channel. Mer and I have both been subscribed to Hulu for like the last 2 years, and like, I'm like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
She has her channel in the bedroom, and I have mine out in the living room. I'm like, this is so dumb.
That's how they get you.
Yep, that's exactly.
I'm smart, dude. I pay for one streaming service, but I have all of them.
How?
So I can share.
Well, don't admit it if it's illegal.
Like,
I'm just illegal, dude. I'm just smart with my homies. Like they buy one, you buy one.
Yeah, the ones that you can share, then
you can't do that with
Netflix. I figured out Netflix.
A lot of them now
somehow.
don't allow
Most
you.
of them are IP based, dude.
Mine doesn't do that. I have. I don't know if it has something to do with my like Surfshark or whatever I use for my VPN, but I am still allowed to access all of my homies' things. I haven't been kicked out of Netflix, Hulu, any of them.
You're one
now
of
you
will.
I know you
I was just chilling.
I was about to say,
Big Brother's watching.
If Netflix is watching this podcast, we're in for something else. But
dude, if I log into Netflix on a computer and the laptop, it sends me an email. You are now on a different service or different.
Wow,
it
dude.
kicks you out of one thing for the other one.
I haven't had to deal with any of this.
It depends on what service you're paying for, though, too.
Exactly.
Like if you're paying for the higher multiple clients or whatever, but.
So, anything that you have coming up or that you're working on that you want to talk about?
I'm working with you guys.
Hey, that was so teed up.
We're working. We're finally working.
I've had one day this year, one day prior to this show.
I think we did a little commercial.
Yeah, I had.
You did a movie.
I had 5 days as a Steadicam operator on a David Wolf movie.
Oh,
and then I did
more than I have.
Shot.
Yeah.
I did like 3 days on a commercial or 2 days on a commercial since the last Sasha movie.
Scoot got me one stunt double day.
Yeah.
We got Alex as a stunt double, but no, it's been slow. It's been slow, and it's been slow across the board. I mean,
everywhere. Friends from New York to LA in every department, it's been slow.
Film has seen a weird thing with our strikes, and then now it's like if you don't got something else cooking in the oven, I mean, it's weird times right now in the film industry.
I've got at least 3 friends I know who've left the industry or actively pursuing other careers.
I know quite a bit that are second jobbing it, and
I mean we all I mean I've always had some sort of side hustle or doing something, like I've been doing handyman work for the last 2 weeks to make money.
Tahlee gets after it.
So girl got to pay the rent. So
there are bills,
and even having a savings, because that's the other thing, it's a feast or famine situation in this industry if you're a freelancer, so you have to have a minimum of 3 months savings.
100%.
But typically you want 6 months if at all possible.
I always say sorry to interrupt. I always say the 50% rule as Alex is getting in, every paycheck cut in half. And saving.
Save it. Yeah.
That paycheck's your paycheck for when you're not working.
Yeah, keep your overhead low. Yep. Know that it's the famine's coming, and save your money, and
it's good while it's good.
Film is free.
It's good. It's good. We've talked about this before on our podcast, and I think it's good to reiterate it, and especially for somebody that's been in the industry for so long.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we forget.
Well, in 2008, during the last writer's strike and the recession, because Iggy and I both are in this industry. I mean, literally, LA shut down overnight.
Yeah.
Like Fox Studios, they were changing the locks on the doors that night when they said, the WGA said we're on strike. We had a friend who was a locksmith at Fox. He went and then changed all the locks on the lot.
Oh shoot.
So people who came in the next day and said, I need, I'm here for work, they're like, you have to be escorted to and from the office. They were able to cancel shows. I mean, it shut down LA for a year.
Holy cow. That's something I want to ask you, though. Being in the industry so long, seeing these ups and downs, is it a pattern? Is it something that is normal? Or is this just like 2008 was random, now this is kind of random? Or is it like every
this
10
is definitely,
years?
like, with the pandemic plus this strike plus, some of the world stuff, it's a little more intense. But, like, between 2008 and now, it's been, yeah, I mean...
Because Brent said it's the longest he's ever gone in his career without working.
Yes, and I do think
yeah.
I do think the pandemic has definitely contributed to it. I mean, knock on wood, I was very lucky last year to work as much as I did.
We
Same.
all were.
We got lucky.
We got lucky on those few movies we did.
Yeah.
It was
It was a very slim year, but 2008 was actually a worse year for me than
Same.
this last year.
Okay.
But the start of this year has been incredibly slow.
Let's be honest, and we can talk about it. I don't know, is there a trailer out yet for our Grizzly movie?
No.
Well, then we can't talk about it too much. But
Just Image of You.
we did a movie
Yeah,
together.
Image of You is out.
Image of You's out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did that movie together as well.
Do you guys know? I just found this out last night. It's not coming out on Paramount Plus anymore.
What's
It's
it on?
a theatrical release now.
I thought it
we're
was going to be
going
both.
the movie.
Oh, maybe it is both. Is it
I have
both?
to ask Jeff.
Nathan told me last night. He's like, "Oh, yeah,
That's awesome.
It's a theatrical release." And
I knew it was theatrical. I thought
Congrats.
I thought it was
That's
both.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
when I
awesome.
spoke to Jeff.
Guys, that's awesome. We need to go to the movie.
Yeah.
You guys are hyping
That's
that
cool.
up. That's sick.
That would
Yeah.
be the first movie that I worked on that's in theaters.
You're gonna see your name on the big
interesting.
screen,
Yeah.
dude.
Oh,
You have
yeah.
to think, most of my stuff is the streaming boom. So all
Yeah.
of my big movies I've worked on are all Netflix and Paramount stuff. So this is like the first movie, if it comes out in theaters, that we could go see.
Totally. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Dude, I'm there, bro. I'll support. I'll bring signs.
It's definitely rated R. Definitely a lot
Yeah.
of
It's
stuff in it. So if you're not 18 or older,
it's a
you-
blue movie, as
Yeah.
they say.
But it was awesome. I had a great experience working with you guys on it. It was the first movie for me. Brent was on it. You guys were on it. Full circle, where I would say the most prominent people that brought me into this career were all on one movie together, and we were all creating this film. And like, there were multiple days where I just sat in the corner and I was like, Tahllee's my operator, Burr's my second, Brent's our first, Charles is the other op. I was like, I have all my friends in one room and we're all making a movie, and like, fuck,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, there are definitely days in this industry where I go, "Ah, I get to do this for a living.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
cool."
yeah.
And other days I'm like,
This
I'm
is-
doing this to make money. This is incredible.
Literally, I have chills down my spine when you said that, and then at the same point you go, it just brought me to like night shoots, -6 degrees. Why are
Oh,
we doing
yeah,
this?
butt deep in the snow, on the top of a mountain. The sun's going down, and you're trying to get home before it gets dark. Oh yeah.
And then
Yeah.
here comes Tahlee with some scones to brighten the day.
That does help.
Tahlee makes scones for the crew.
I
It's
do.
kind of become her
Yeah.
signature.
It's my
So
thing.
much that if she doesn't bring them, we don't allow her on set. We say go home.
I can't go to. I
What
can't
day
go
is
to
it? Is it Wednesdays or Thursdays?
Each show, we pick a day that's best.
Okay,
Because
okay.
sometimes your week is
Weird.
weird, and it
Our
could
weeks
be
are weird on
nights.
this
Yeah,
one, yeah.
yeah, our weeks are weird on this with
Yeah.
splits and 2 days, and then a full week, and then
Yeah.
a partial, and
We start out on a partial week. It's
yeah,
weird,
yeah.
but
We'll figure it out.
Whatever.
All I
To-
know is next month I'm having scones.
Yes, that's right.
And we were
Put your
talking we're
orders
going to
in
bring
now.
Tahlee scones into our coffee truck.
Oh,
and
sick.
be
Yeah.
selling the
Yeah.
scones at the coffee shop.
that's
That's
dope.
a-
That'd be fun.
Yeah,
Tell us about the scones, because this is something that you've done for.
a few years. So probably
while.
like right after COVID is when I really like right before COVID I'd
Yeah.
been experimenting. I was just
COVID was hard with that though, because you're coming in with it, and it was like, do I pass out food? We're
Yeah.
all kind of wearing masks.
yeah, but people
Everyone
would
was
just
down,
sneak
dude.
off
Who
set
cares?
and
Yeah, who cares? We want a scone.
I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm more saying that
Well,
as,
I
like,
was-
it was a challenge for you to kind of be like, is this acceptable?
right. Well, but first I was just bringing it to the camera department. It was
Yeah.
just because I love scones. It's always been something, and I was experimenting with it, and I was like, well, I should probably get some taste testers because otherwise I'll
Well,
eat the
people
whole
are
batch.
getting jealous.
So yeah, and then it's like I think it was Jesse on one of the High School Musicals. He said to Kimber, like one of the scenes they had scones, and Jesse goes to Kimberly, he goes, well, you know who makes really good scones? And she's like, who? And he goes, well, she does. So by the end of High School Musical on season 3, I was making like 100 scones a week.
Oh my God.
I remember that.
Yeah. So it was an insane amount of
Paycheck goes straight to scones.
Yeah. So
I was about to say, well, I helped a little bit on that one show. I brought in some eggs for her.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
chickens.
Hey.
But I thought the same thing though. I was like, damn, that has to be expensive. How many scones you're making every week?
Well, it's a lot of work though too. Like that's what I was like. How do you go home, Tahlee, at the end of the night and like make 100
I wonder
million
that too.
scones?
well, you prep. You can do all the dry ingredients, and then the night before is when you add all the wet
But when do
ingredients
you
and
cook
bake.
Gotcha.
Before you go to bed or when you're waking up?
Half and half usually. Like so, usually the night before I'll make, depending on how many batches I'm making, because I actually just make them in a little toaster oven typically.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, I'm just trying to picture myself when I get home from a 14-hour day.
Yeah, like let me get out
Let
ingredients.
me cook.
but it's also how I can come off of a day.
Fair.
You know, for me,
Okay.
like you know, some people like
It's a good way to like kill the night kind of thing.
yeah, it gets me out of
We,
my
we go
head.
shoot people on Call
That's
of Duty.
cool.
She bakes scones.
Yeah,
Good analogy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah,
exactly.
we kill people in video games and you go
There,
home bake.
exactly.
For other people.
Yeah,
We're
right.
different people. We're different kind of people.
Makes you reassess your life choices.
Should we go bake something for people?
But I also have been making so many. I'm good and I'm fast at it.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Oh,
I'm like
totally.
I know all the ins, the outs, the tricks. I know what's going to work. I know what's not going to work, and so it doesn't take me as much time as it
No, I get
initially
that.
took.
What's
so.
the one with cream cheese in it? Is it
The raspberry?
Oh,
cream
that's my
cheese.
favorite one.
That's my favorite.
And when my strawberries are in season, I use strawberries for my garden.
and fresh ingredients and
Yeah.
such.
Yeah. So
That's amazing.
Do you do fresh raspberries and stuff too?
I do because I have a raspberry patch. Yeah.
You should try a coffee flavored scone.
I thought about that. The other one I want to do is a cinnamon chip.
Oh, I would eat
So
that.
I'm
Yep.
working on that one
She has
too.
crazy flavors.
Mhm.
That's fun.
So for somebody who is jumping into the film industry,
Don't do it.
That's literally what I was gonna ask.
This is what I tell people when they do ask me. If there is anything else in the world that you have a passion for that you want to do it.
Why?
This is a mean, nasty, ugly business. People are cruel and unkind.
Yeah.
You do not make friends in this business.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of politics.
A lot of politics, and it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't mean you're going to get the job.
Yep.
It's a great.
And so, if there's anything else in the world that you have a passion for, other than filmmaking, do it. That being said, if this is your passion, do it. And I say that, you don't make any friends in this industry. My very best friends are in this industry. And I do have friends, but they're few and far between.
But a
and
lot
you
of
have
people say they're your friend.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And they're not your friend.
There's a lot
they're
of two
your film
faces.
friends,
They're your film
or
friends.
they're your temporary friend
Like I would
until they
argue,
get
like
what they
what
need.
this,
Right.
is, this a lot of this is outside of film. Like if the cameras weren't here, this same conversation would
Sure,
be happening. Right?
absolutely.
There's a lot of people in film that like are your friend that aren't your friend.
Correct.
Yeah, they'll be the
Yeah.
first people to say you're a good friend to me, but then someone asks you for a job and they'll take it over you or son or say you can't do it and I'm available instead of him.
Right, and this is something from my own self that took me a long time to learn too. That my identity is not the job that I do,
Right.
and I love what I do. Don't get me wrong, but I could leave this industry tomorrow and do something else, and I would be okay.
I
One
like
thing I
that.
want to add to
Not that I
is-
want to do that,
Right.
but I could, and emotionally I would still be okay. Which it took me a long time to get to that point. And
One thing I want to point to that is your identity is not film. You are your own person, and don't take it personal. I think
Yes.
that's something I had to learn. Is like if I wouldn't get a job, I'd take it very personal.
can't do that.
And
I mean, you
like-
can do that, but it's not healthy.
It's not healthy, and I don't think it's the ebb and flow of the industry. Some people
Sure.
are better friends with other people. Some people may have had a certain conversation with someone. You may be better than them in your eyes, but it's just
And it's a timing thing. It's a luck thing. It could be,
It's-
it could
don't
also
take
be
it personal.
right. It's like if you know who the DP is and the kind of people that DP likes to work with, you're gonna say, okay, this person, it should be on the crew. And it has nothing to do with I dislike those other people. It's just like, I know this is going to be a better fit, or like we're doing a big outdoorsy blah, blah, blah. Well, I know like Matt is big on the outdoor stuff, and he's good with that. And
there's people that are better studio people and people that are better.
And you have your across the
yeah.
board, and then there are especially people who do like mountain climbing or rock climbing, and that's a specialty thing, and you're going to want someone who's capable and willing to do that. And then there are people who are divers who are getting underwater photography, and
for sure.
And then then sometimes it's just a personality thing, and that this personality is going to work better with that personality. And sometimes you can just say, the last job, they just didn't do what I needed them to do, and I can't in good conscience bring them on this one. And sometimes it's like, oh, that person happened to just called you the day before, and you're like, whoever's right in front of you.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the other 10,000 other people
Sometimes
you work
you're at
with.
the rental house, you get the job, and it's just like this thing instead of let me look through and see who is bad at putting it, but the most deserving, or like the
and it has nothing to do.
And if a team works good together, they want to work together. You can't take it as like you know.
Right now is the director loved the crew, and he said, I want that same camera crew. And we brought in the same camera crew because it flowed and everything worked so well. It has nothing to do with anyone else who's in town that's available or not.
And if you're in film, you kind of almost want to allow that to happen because the film's going to be better, even if you're not a part of it. And as weird as that sounds, you're not making money, but you're going to know that if they're working so good together, the film's going to be that much better. The production's going to go that much smoother.
Well, it is not uncommon for a crew to work together over and over. Like once you have a symbiotic relationship, that person's strengths and weaknesses and can work to that. And that's not uncommon for a crew to work together over and over, and you hire the same people.
I know exactly how you are as an operator. I know exactly how you are as an operator. I know how you want your camera, and I know how you want your camera. And it's like
no Velcro on my camera. My hair gets caught in the camera.
Give me some patches. Tahlee is like, get that shit off my camera.
The Velcro gets caught in my hair.
Which makes sense. Charlie's got a sick mohawk.
Yeah.
I get it.
I love the patches. They just can't be on the camera.
I love it.
But yeah, I mean, you can't take it personally, and you have to have rhino skin, as I say. And there are people who are going to say and do things that are hurtful and mean, and you can let it bother you. You can talk back, or you can just move on. And depending on the job, the person, all of the above. Because I mean, I've had some really nasty things said to me in my career, and there's been times when I've told people to go fuck themselves, and then there've been times when I've just taken it.
But that's okay to say in certain situations.
Yes.
I think that's important to know your own worth, and obviously not. You're in a business setting, you're in a public setting, other people are there, but there is a time and place, and to know when it's okay and not okay, and like it's okay to stand up for yourself on set.
Yes, absolutely.
You are not to be like walked on. You are a human being.
Right.
And I think that sometimes the line kind of gets stepped over sometimes.
Right. I mean, we're not brain surgeons. We're not saving lives.
Yeah.
A good point.
We are making movies. It should be
Yeah.
fun,
Yeah,
people.
Charles literally says that.
Some shit was said to me from our DP on a movie we were on. It wasn't that one, but
Okay.
it was one that we did, and Charles had to pull him aside and say, "Hey, you don't talk to my ACs like that. You don't talk to my friends like that. Like, that's not how this works."
Mm-hmm.
And he came up and he apologized, and we got on good terms, and we moved on, and everything was great moving forward.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you can call people out.
But Charles pulled him aside. He didn't make a public spectacle of the DP. Yeah. So there's a time and a place for some things. And again, just because somebody else has chosen an inappropriate time to like yell and scream and be a jerk doesn't mean you have to be that person. It means you can still be the professional. You can still be the classier person. That can be hard.
I was about to say, find that set buddy. Because there are times where things will be said and like we've made eye contact before and it's just like,
well,
go back to work.
Right. Well, and then, you have to have your safe word on set sometimes. Banana. So
Harry Acorns.
Yeah. So the other thing that I say to a camera department is, if something goes wrong in camera department, it stays in camera department. Mm-hmm. You follow the proper protocols. So if something, as the first AC, something goes wrong, you're going to go either to your operator or your DP, or like as a loader, I flashed a roll of film. Mm-hmm. So the protocol is you immediately go to your first AC and you say, I flashed a roll of film. You don't announce it to the set. You don't yell and scream, although my heart was in my throat. But there is a protocol, and there's a reason why you handle things a certain way. And it's like you said, like you don't go over the radio, announce that something's wrong, even if it's just the camera department, because oftentimes the DP's on there, and the DP's worrying about other things. If the DP needs to be notified, you're first, or your operator will make that decision.
It makes the first look extremely bad if a second goes to the DP and brings up something that your first may have a solution for, which is why they're hired as the first.
They are the department head.
Yes.
You talk to your first AC. That is who you go through first.
Operators are worrying about what the DP is saying to them, and then the operators and first are relaying that to the team. But like, there's a point where like sometimes the operator doesn't need to be interrupted by this. Your first may have it right there in his kit, and there doesn't need to be a whole triangle.
There is a protocol
effect. Like, see that from a perspective, and like not be that person.
Right. So so like if the camera loader or the utility has an issue, they're going to go to their second first. They're going to go to the second AC first. And then if the second AC, they can figure it out, great. If not, then they go to the first. If it's something critical, you automatically go to your first and let them make the call, because they're the one in most close contact with, and they're the one who can make the decision if the DP needs to know that. But there are protocol, and
they're the ones that know what the rental house has on backup, what gear we have. Like, they're the ones putting that together. So like, they may have a solution, and your heart doesn't need to drop because they're like, oh, it's right here. Here we go. We'll order a new one. That's what insurance is for.
But flashing a
not
roll
for a
of film.
flashing.
Nope, your heart is right here. It's like coming out of your mouth. Yeah.
For those people that don't know, what does flashing a roll of film mean?
So in the old school days, you actually had 1,000-foot load of film, like celluloid, and you would go into a dark room where there is no light, and you would load it into a magazine and thread it to be put onto the camera. And I was on a job where we were going through 2,000 loads every 10 minutes. We would go through 2,000-foot loads, and they wouldn't let me in and out of the building because it would make noise, and this actor just wanted to keep going, and we didn't have enough mags, and it was one of those. So I got rushed. It was absolutely my fault. Absolutely my fault. I got in a hurry. I like, did I have the door open or anyway? So basically, the light was on, and I opened the lid and slammed it. Now, I'm not faster than the speed of light, and it was high speed. It was 500 tungsten film, and it fogged the film. The problem is the second AC had, because you have a camera report. He'd filled out the wrong camera report, so that mag that we thought we'd shot the close up on was actually the wider shot. So I told them, like, this is the mag. I told them correct mag that had been flashed, but the second AC didn't have the correct report, so they reshot the wrong thing.
Oh, shoot.
So the next day, when they figured it out, because you had to send it off to the lab, they would look at dailies, and then they make a decision.
Why AC-ing and second AC-ing is so important, and I think that's what's getting lost in this new age of AC-ing, and I think that right there is like the perfect explanation of like why a second AC is so important, why a utility is so important, why a first AC is so important. And nothing bugs me more when a director or a DP doesn't take into consideration, especially on a film shoot, which like blows my mind. I would think if I was in that position, that right there is that's your film, that's your
whole show.
That's your show.
Yeah.
Why do people not look at those people as priority?
So like, it always amazed me.
Pave the way for our film. Open the door.
Nope.
Like that doesn't like that. It blows my mind that that's not like a thing.
It always. I always found it ironic that the lowest paid person in the camera department handled the entire show.
Yeah.
Like literally, you could do a stunt and lose hundreds of thousands of dollars if you flashed that roll of film.
Yep.
And why, and how it's just like, oh, do we have a loader? It's like, what's their experience?
Yeah.
How many this?
Although I worked with DPs who would not hire a loader unless they had already flashed a roll of film.
Yeah.
Because believe you me, when you flash a roll of film, you never do it again.
You're like, nope.
Never. And if you do it again, get out of the business.
Right.
You know,
not your job.
It shouldn't be what you're doing.
I remember the first filter I broke. And John looked at me and he goes, "It's good. You'll never do it again." I was like, "No."
But I've been on jobs where like I've been like chewed up one side and down the other for something small. I was on a job where the first day I was the key second on a stunt unit, and we had 5 or 6 film cameras, and they were like egg beaters. They were the Airy 2Cs. They were really beat up. We were constantly rebuilding, swapping out motors. It was insane. And he told me at the beginning of the show, he goes, if something goes wrong in the camera department, I don't care whose fault it is, it's your fault. And he wasn't kidding. And he yelled and screamed at me in front of the entire crew and told me I was an idiot and how stupid I was every single day. I would have Teamsters come up to me and apologizing for his behavior.
Wow.
I was about to say, that reminds me of the one movie we were on.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone kept coming up to me going, I'm sorry.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I don't like
It's
that.
interesting.
I don't like that.
I feel like it's a different mentality now, though, too. I don't feel like you can treat
It's
people that nowadays. I mean,
It's changing.
It
You
is
still find some of those people.
oh, for sure.
I think social media and cancel culture makes people on their toes with that. Like, is everything filmed kind of thing? Like, you couldn't go up to someone on set and be like, F you, this name and this name, just in case someone's filming it.
Bet people still do.
But people
Yeah,
still do.
Not as much.
Yeah.
But I think people almost had those, like, cancel radars on. Kind of like, no one's filming.
Yeah.
Or their phone's out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting, though. Very interesting.
But I also have found in the last couple of years that I hate to say it, but there's been a few shows I've been on that the ACs are like, oh, it's good enough. I'm like, it's really not. And so it's like there's got to be a point where you still have to be accountable for the job that you do, and you still want someone to do a good job. You don't have to yell and scream and humiliate a person on set, but you do have to demand that they do their job and that they do it well, because in camera department the details matter. The devil is in the details.
That's where I'm grateful for you and Curtis teaching me, because it was so like, this
Yes,
is how it's
and
done.
take accountability for your
ACs
actions.
now that are kind of just like, or a lot of ACs that are kind of like, it's not my problem.
Right.
And that shit's like.
And no, you're accountable, and like, even, you know, there on the Grizzly thing, there was a point where something happened, something fell through the cracks, and somebody tried to. Somebody was like, "Oh no, it's so and so forgot to do this." I'm like, no, that's on you.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
I respected that.
And it's like and I've been on the receiving end of that. I mean, nobody's perfect.
That's
right?
how we learn.
And that's how we learn. But take accountability for your work.
Yeah.
And don't do it again.
Yep.
But that's also how you learn to troubleshoot the next one. That makes you a better AC. But don't, when somebody does that, I'm less likely to hire them in the future. But if you say, yeah, that's mine and I'm really sorry. And yeah, I'll still be upset with you, but I'll also get over it.
Well, the thing I think to realize too is camera is so important. It's so expensive. There's so many details. It's such a thing to come into it with a mindset where you're kind of not crossing every T and dotting every I, and to kind of have that like effect. I don't want to hire you, because now if you're on my team bringing that kind of thing, then it just trickles down. And at the end of the day, especially as a first AC, it all comes down to you and the team you hire.
Right.
And now people aren't going to hire you as a first AC if you're not bringing in a good team. And
Correct.
so it's like, it trickles down.
Sure. Absolutely. And it is true. The devil's in the details. It's like,
I would rather you break a lens, come right to me and say, I broke a lens. This is exactly what happened. We fix it. Insurance covers it. We finish our show. Everything moves on great. Instead of just
trying to hide it.
Someone broke a lens.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
And don't announce it.
I don't know who did it.
But
I
don't
opened
announce it either.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
you know, you go to your first and go, holy shit, holy crap. So, yeah, you've got to, there's a fine
I remember on the last movie, like, I feel like I'm really lucky from learning from all of you at the same time, because I do get a younger view from it from you, and then I do get the actual extensive knowledge that you guys have gained throughout doing it for so long. And like, there was a time where I left a lens case open, and I remember Tahlee comes up and she's like, "Did you leave that case open?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "You never leave a case open," and I will never leave a case open again.
I've actually been kicked off set for leaving a case open.
It's a good lesson to learn.
I've seen
lock it, too.
I've seen a whole case of lenses roll down a mountainside because somebody did not latch, the top.
That's
and
what you told
was
me.
being helpful.
Yep.
And a set of prime lenses went rolling down the mountainside.
Yep.
You told me that story and it scared
Yeah.
the shit out of me to the point where
Good.
the rest of that movie and from now on,
$150,000 rolling down the hill.
Exactly. Because
I lost a day rate.
one latch
Yeah.
wasn't latched.
Exactly.
One latch. And there are DPs I've worked with who, if they don't see 2 latches latched, you're fired.
That's the other thing you taught me. You're like both of them.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I was
copy.
about to say, dude, I've not shut a lens case before, not latched it, and they asked me to leave set that day.
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't get paid.
That's one of those days.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard lesson learned, unfortunately. But
It is.
no, but I am a stickler for that. Is definitely something I am a stickler for. Having seen those lenses roll down a hill,
But it's
just
good.
like flashing a roll of film.
'Cause without
never
it-
happens again.
Right?
People are going to be lazy without that kind of a person on set. Like, without you telling me that, I wouldn't have really thought about that. I would have gone back
Right.
and shut it eventually, once I switched the lens. But I, in my mind, wouldn't have gone to the possibilities and things that would have happened, which then in the end would have eventually led me to causing a
Right.
problem.
But
And I
just-
feel like there are a lot of lazy people in this industry that don't get the guidance that I have gotten, and it just kind of it snowballs, and then you get a bunch of these problems and
I'm gonna
lazy
be
people.
honest, though, those people shouldn't be ACs.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't know if it's necessarily laziness. I think it's more you have these younger kids coming up in the industry and they're right out of school or whatever, and they're like, I'm a DP or I'm a first or whatever, and
I'm
they
an
haven't
AZ.
learned.
What was mind
From
blowing
everybody.
was when we taught that class at UVU, I was teaching ACing, he was doing some operating, and it was multiple days, and we brought in a bunch of stuff, and Redmond gave us a bunch of things to bring in. 80% of it, none of the kids had any knowledge of.
Because
Of
they're more,
things in an AC's kit, and these are kids that are going right into camera outside.
but they're
of
all going to
school.
be DPs, right?
Oh yeah,
And
they
Oh
are.
my god.
Yeah.
And
When-
it
Great.
was mind blowing to me to think that, like, I'm gonna be honest, that these kids coming out of film school are gonna be stepping onto sets and not know any of the stuff when this is like the beginning of camera kind of thing.
Right.
Like it
Well,
starts here.
No
And,
one makes it in this industry the same way.
Right.
true.
There are those who step right out and say, I'm a DP, and their daddy's a producer, and they make movies as a DP for the rest of their lives.
And
whether
everyone's
they're
worked with
good.
that DP
Right.
who
Sure.
hasn't
No,
been
but-
an operator or AC.
Yes.
And everyone's worked with a DP who has been an operator in AC, and it's obvious.
Right. And I've worked with DPs who've been gaffers prior and they don't understand the camera side as much. And then there's those who are right out of film school who that's all they've only been a DP. And even when I talk to people who are like, oh, I want to be a director, I'm like, great, do every job on set so you understand. When you say to someone, hey, can we move that light up the hill? You understand what it means to move that light up that hill. And that time-wise, manpower-wise, not that it
Yeah.
can't be
When you
done,
say
but you know the
Studio
parameters.
Ronin Trinity within 3 different setups in one scene.
Exactly.
And your AC's literally sweating, and then you're asking where the camera is, and you're
Yeah.
wondering what's going on and why he's hating his life.
Yeah. I was on a job where it was film. I was the only person in the camera department. And it was a Carhartt commercial. It was one of the worst blizzards here in Salt Lake City. I'm sideways snow film,
gosh.
and I'm trying to load film, and he's like, "What's taking so long?" I'm like, I took my hands out of the
Gee,
bag,
I
and
don't
I said, "You do it." And he's like, "No." I'm like, "Then back off."
Yeah, 100%.
It takes as long as it takes with his sideways snow. And he's like, "Okay."
And this is your project. This
Yeah.
is the film that we're shooting
Yeah.
on. Like, that's, yeah.
But it's literally sideways snow in one of the worst blizzards in Salt Lake that season. So I was like they closed the airport. It was that bad.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Like, your turn. You want to do it.
Yeah, you go
It's
ahead
a
and
good
do
way
it.
to do it.
Yeah.
My favorite is when Charles is sitting there sweating and dying because they say camera's up, and he's sitting there holding the trim, and 5 minutes goes by, and I, respectively, in the time when it makes sense, will say, depending on the situation, like if the director's like, oh, he's good, we just need to see it up, or like if I'll be like, no, absolutely not, and I'll bring in the stand and like have it, or Charles sometimes will be like, stand, and
Yeah.
like get it in there to like make a point, but it's like,
And I'm same as because we do a lot of handheld camera
yeah.
work, and I'm
Totally.
perfectly fine doing
Camera.
handheld. I'm good with that, but don't make me I am not a tripod,
Yeah.
and I'm happy to set a tripod there for you to frame and look at your lighting. And if we're getting ready to go, I'll put it up so you can see
Or
the actual.
rehearsal,
We'll do a
or-
rehearsal, but I'm not going to stand there for 15 minutes and hold the camera.
It's
While you-
heavy.
while you
People don't
design a
get
Christmas-
Right,
how
because
heavy-
then because it gets heavier,
Yeah.
and it's because again you want me at my best when we actually do the shot, right? So
Exactly.
you're using me up for lighting, or you want to use me up for the actual shot.
That's fair.
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like, again, that's a like new age mentality, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I have to look at the monitor to light this scene.
Yes.
I have to see it on the screen, and it's just like,
right.
come on,
It's
you
the
guys.
it's
Like,
the
we gotta
digital
learn how to
filmmaking.
do it. you
Yeah,
know?
and
Like,
it's the
it is
digital
the digital,
filmmaking
Totally.
world,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, I get, but again, bring in the tripod, bring
Yeah.
in the stand for the
Yeah.
the Steadicam. It's fine.
right.
And I get sometimes you just have to see it in the right position, and I understand that too.
Totally.
And that's my job to put it there for you.
Totally.
Yeah, I think
great.
in general, that's something I'm working on too as like an AC, is bringing, I'm going to call it this going forward, bringing more of that Tahlee approach, where, that's what I'm going to call it though, where like, not saying I'm not like, because I can get like that on set, but just bringing it more to that OG mindset, I think, is something I'm going to work on, where it's like, nope, this is like how we do it. Because I think there's been a few times where even myself, I've been guilty of it, where it's like kind of that new age, just like, we don't need that. It's in the data log. Well, no, you actually should write it down in your camera log kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I've actually been on a job where Curtis, like, he keeps the camera log book, and
he's such a good
and it was like a month later, they're like, oh, what about this? And we can't find that. And Curtis is like, this is what we did.
Yeah.
And he had it right there. Yeah, I mean, and yeah, so have a good protocol, you know, devil's in the details. And as you do it more, you get better at it, just like anything. And my other favorite saying, keep your poop in a pile.
Yeah.
Don't get scattered with the camera gear. Keep your poop in a pile.
I love Tahlee's sayings, like the old school like farm sayings is what they remind me of. It's not like the early bird gets the worm. What was it, the one you were saying?
I don't know.
He's like,
I didn't know poop in a pile. That's my big one.
Yeah. What is it? No, Tahlee always says this. Oh, you bought me a book for my baby that has the title. Don't let the chicken drive the bus.
Don't let the pigeon drive the bus.
Don't let the pigeon drive the bus. Yeah. It's stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's true. It's like, yeah.
Words of Tahlee. We should make bumper stickers.
real quick, what's your favorite thing you feel like you've worked on? Most memorable.
Most memorable, or one that I was most impactful? I don't know. I shot a documentary in 2000. It came out, in 2000, that I'm very proud of, that got an Emmy nomination.
Oh, cool.
And the story was incredible, and I'm still friends with the family that we did this story about.
That's awesome.
And it was something that changed my life, not just as a filmmaker, but as a human.
Oh, that's
and
right.
So that, and it's called The Smith Family.
The Smith family.
Yeah, it's about a husband and wife, and on their 9-year anniversary, the husband comes to his wife, an LDS couple, and says, I'm gay.
Okay.
And they go through the whole process. They have 2 children at the time. They decide whether they want to be together or not. A year goes by, and they're finally coming around to, like, I think the plan was they were going to stay together. And then she gets really sick and finds out she's HIV positive.
Oh, wow.
So he had given her the virus. And we came across them as in the story, like as filmmakers, at the last year of his life. He was dying of AIDS. And she was a nurse and took care of him 24/7 for like 5 years.
Wow.
Being sick herself, having the virus. And she's still living, and she's still my friend and someone I talked to.
Oh,
That's
cool.
an amazing story.
But it was their story,
What's it
their
called
love
again?
story, why they stayed together. The Smith family?
The Smith family.
That's cool.
Is it on a streaming platform? Or?
I don't know. I probably have a copy somewhere.
I was like,
I'd love to see
I
it.
just want to see it.
But yeah, but for me, it was a good life thing, that things aren't black and white, that there's a lot of
Right.
gray in this life, and that love is a very complicated thing sometimes. So
That's cool.
that for me was one of the best things I've ever worked on. And then just stupid stuff like High School Musical, the series, was great for me, and I had such a great time, and they were good people, and it was
We
just a
always
lot of
talk about
fun.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a lot
We
of
call it the
fun.
High School Musical era because everyone's had a chapter. You probably had multiple chapters, but a chapter in the High School Musical realm, right? I feel like everyone who's been in like a Utah like film has had a chapter in that like High School Musical.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool how many lives it's changed.
Yeah. I mean,
fun
and
show.
Yellowstone was impactful for other reasons, and not all of them good. But
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it's. I feel like I've asked that question to a lot of people, and a lot of people always say like one that's really action based, or one that they met a really cool actor on. But you're the first person I've asked that to, where it was something a lot deeper. You know, that's really cool.
yeah, there's definitely, and definitely a project I'm very proud of, and I'm proud to have been a part of.
Yeah.
So
That's rad.
Are you on social media? Do you post a bunch of stuff on social media?
I'm on social media. I don't post a bunch. Every now and then I'll be like, meh.
Your sweet motorcycles and stuff.
Yeah, motorcycles every now and then. My boots. I like my boots, so sometimes I'll take pictures of my boots. I do some, but honestly, and I used to do a lot more, but the thing I've found, if you're my friend, you're going to call me. And I'm going to sit down and have lunch with you or whatever.
And she's not kidding when she says that. If you need someone, she's there.
So that's more my life, is because I have so many other projects going on. I can't be consumed by social media as well.
I guess I asked that because some people, obviously, where they're like, hey, follow me here, if they're like pushing for social, so we're like, hey, go follow them. But if you want the words of Tahlee, you can only find it here on the Happy Rabbit exclusive podcast with the one and only.
Or you can call me and we'll sit down and have lunch and I'll tell you some stuff too.
Tell you what's up.
I love it. That means if people want the wisdom of Tahlee, they have to come here.
Well, and the other thing, again, being in this industry for so long, and just I'm old and I'm jaded, and I still love what I do. And the other thing with me being old and jaded, I care enough to do a good job, but I don't care enough to put up with your BS.
Yeah.
And I just don't.
And you're always bringing that positive energy too, and I think that speaks worlds. Being as long as you've been in the industry, to not. I mean, we see it in the grip world a little bit more, but kind of that like grumpy attitude. You bring that like youthful, like playful, like we're here and having fun.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: life's too short to work with or to be an ass, and I won't do either. And and then my other thing is, if everything's an emergency, then nothing's an emergency, and I'm not going to run around with my ass on fire just because you're in a panic mode. I'm just not going to do it, because again, in camera, when you buy into the panic, someone gets hurt. Number one. Something gets broken, something gets lost. I'm not going to do it. And you can't. Yep. I mean, we want to work quickly and efficiently, but if you're in a panic, mistakes happen and people get hurt, and that's not acceptable. And you just, you can't act like everything's an emergency. Everyone can't run on adrenaline for the entire 14-hour day.
Yeah.
For 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's not possible, and nor should it be acceptable.
Yeah.
And I think that is the recipe for, that's when crews, like, things start happening, and then there's arguments and the kind of the BS that kind of comes with it. When there's that like constant clean pace, it's like there seems to be a lot less of the BS.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's true. And if everyone, I mean, when you run in that panic mode, people then start blaming. Like, if something goes wrong, the blame games happen. Yeah. So people are too busy blaming to work on a solution. So people are less looking at, like, I'm like, that's really unfortunate that head feeder's out. Okay, how do we fix that? I don't care why it happened. How do we fix it? How do we move on quickly and efficiently?
Yeah.
And get to the wrap party where we can all celebrate.
Yeah. Get to the food.
Those are my favorite.
Yeah. Well, here's the other
gifts and wrap parties.
The other tidbit of advice is be nice to everyone, because you never know who you're going to meet. Like, because be nice to everyone, because you never know
who's going to be your boss.
Well, no, because the industry does this, right? So be nice to everyone on your way up, because you never know who you're going to meet on the way back down. Yeah. Because this industry does that, and it just does.
I can't tell you how many, whatever, call it first, PAs, seconds, will get a job on a different project and be the director, AD, whatever, and they're bringing you into this and you're bringing them into that. And it's like, I attest to that hugely, is like, don't act like you're better than other people just because on this one job you're in this one position. Because on the next job, they may be you're this.
Right, but also know where your name is on the call sheet. And when it comes to like making decisions on set or getting things done, it's like, because there are jobs when I just need to work from here down, and there are other jobs when this is all I need to be working with. So it just depends. And but there is a reason there's a call sheet. There is a reason there's a protocol.
No, there are reasons why there's A camera, B camera. That it's ran
and there
like
are protocols, and there's the system to follow, and there are responsibilities that have to be taken care of. And
100%.
It's the military.
Well, a lot of the terms that they do use, and a lot of the equipment actually did come from the military.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally did.
That and
Alex is like, shit.
I joined the military anyways, Mom.
like the dolly. The dolly that we use on set is the military.
Yeah.
The
thing.
missiles and everything. And
Yeah,
they're
for
floating
load bombs.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the wheels.
And the wheels.
Yep.
Yep.
That's
All
great.
these quirky things. Yeah.
Well, we're running out of time, so we're gonna wrap it up. We want to thank you, Tahlee, for coming
Thank
and
you.
hanging
It's
out
crazy
with
how
us.
quick they go by, huh?
Yeah.
It goes by so
All this
fast.
conversation.
Yeah. This
We
one
can
went
keep
quick.
going.
I can talk for
We'll definitely have you come back again, though.
Okay, yeah.
'Cause it's fun.
I'll do it.
100%. I want to talk about like specific AC stuff and then like
Sure.
film stuff, and there's so many things.
I want to talk about motorcycles, man.
Let's do that.
Get into that.
That reminds me. I gotta.
That's how we
Break
became
mine out.
friends. Like
Yeah.
right on set, she's like, "You ride bikes? Yeah." Did we just become best friends? Yeah.
It's the same with me and her. She's like, so Scooter told me you have motorcycles? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, I have some.
I got some.
Okay. Well, we'll see you again soon, Tahlee, and
Yeah.
we're gonna be on this movie, so we'll have
see
many
you in a few
stories
days.
from that. We'll see you literally Monday.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe. Check out some of our other videos if you haven't seen them, and we'll see you next week.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.